Prince Harry lent his voice to co-narrate a video by the People's Vaccine, released to mark World AIDS Day. The clip draws striking parallels between the struggles for access to HIV medicines and COVID-19 vaccines in developing countries. With this video, the People's Vaccine, a movement of health and humanitarian organizations, experts, economists and global leaders, argues the world is witnessing history repeating itself when it comes to barring poorer countries to access to means that could drastically curb a pandemic. The video is narrated by both the Duke of Sussex and UNAIDS Executive Director Winnie Byanyima. It begins with Ms Byanyima saying, "The world is fighting a killer virus and not for the first time." It then shows footage from the late 1980s and 1990s regarding the worldwide HIV and AIDS crisis. Late Princess Diana appears in the footage while her younger son, Prince Harry, begins to speak. In the clip, Harry can be heard saying, "There are striking parallels between COVID-19 and another deadly pandemic, one that emerged 40 years ago, HIV." The video goes on noting both these pandemics have caused millions of deaths, but scientific breakthroughs such as antiretroviral treatments for HIV and the COVID vaccines have been able to bring life back to normal for many but not for all, as the Duke can be heard saying. He adds, "This is a story about how corporate greed and political failure have prolonged both pandemic and what we can do to stop it." While many rich countries are already distributing to their population booster jabs, only 6% of the people living in the continent of Africa have been fully vaccinated against COVID. This inequality in the distribution of vaccines comes as the United Nations warned AIDS will kill 7.7 million people in the next decade if access to treatments isn't not made fairer. Ms Byanyima can be heard saying in the video, "Why are the poor being left behind?" Among organizations endorsing the message of the video, there is Frontline AIDS, whose executive director Christine Stegling said, "This is not the first time the governments of rich countries have moved on from a problem as soon as it appears to be in someone else's backyard. We saw it with AIDS, where the transformative impact of HIV treatments in rich countries has seen urgency, focus and funding for the global response fall sharply, and we are starting to see the same thing with COVID-19. We cannot allow history to repeat itself. The COVID-19 pandemic is far from over, but high-income, high-vaccination countries are already starting to talk about future pandemics, while turning a blind eye to those that continue to impact poorer regions. This will only prolong the pain of existing pandemics, placing millions of lives at risk. We urgently need a TMS vaccine to benefit everyone, everywhere." Prince Harry has been championing the cause of vaccine equity for months alongside his wife, Meghan Markle. In May, the couple were campaign chairs of Global Citizens Vax Live, drawing attention on the importance to distribute COVID vaccine across the world to end the pandemic. They have since continued to keep the spotlight on this issue with other public appearances, including a series of visits during their tour of New York in September. But the Duke has also spent years working to improve the lives of people affected by HIV and AIDS. In the mid-2000s, he co-founded Sentebale to support the mental and physical well-being of children in Lesotho affected by HIV. With the passing of the years, the charity has opened a branch also in Botswana. The Duke of Sussex followed in his mother's footsteps in not only supporting people affected by HIV, but also breaking the stigma attached to people living with this disease. The late Princess of Wales famously shook hands without wearing gloves and hugged HIV patients during her official visits. At the height of the AIDS epidemic in 1987, Diana opened the UK's first specialist HIV/AIDS unit at London TMS Middlesex Hospital, where she said, "HIV does not make people dangerous to know. You can shake their hands and give them a hug. Heaven knows they need it. What's more, you can share their homes, their workplaces, and their playgrounds and toys." Prince Harry has regularly marked World AIDS Day. Just last year, he said, "On this World AIDS Day, I want to restate my personal commitment to doing all I can to keep chipping away at the stigma, and to be able to say we are the generation that finally ends HIV. Speaking of the Duchess, he added, I think she's been very disrespectful to the Queen, who's such a great woman, such a great person, a historic person. I think she's very disrespectful to the royal family, and most importantly to the Queen. Speaking about Meghan's campaigning on paid parental leave using her royal title, Mr. Trump also said, she is trying to do things that I think are very inappropriate. Cottage was converted into a family home for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex prior to their departure from the royal family, as senior working royals. It is the current residence of Prince Harry TM's cousin, Princess Eugenie, and her husband, Jack Brooksbank. The first installment of the documentary aired on Monday, November 22, and was met with fierce criticism. The second part, shown on the BBC on Monday, November 29, has sparked similar backlash. Royal expert Richard Eden, in anticipation of the second episode, took to Twitter to say, let's see if the Princess and Press is any more balanced this week. After the documentary TM's second episode finished, the Daily Mail TMS diary editor told his over 16,000 followers of a huge flaw in the BBC's coverage. Sadly, second part of The Princess and Press was no more balanced. For example, it discussed press criticism of Harry and Meghan's costly renovation of Frogmore Cottage, but with no mention at all of the fact that the couple had rejected big home already prepared for them at Ken Palace. Replying to Mr. Eden TMS tweet, fellow documentary viewer Jen Carson Taylor commented, no, it wasn't EMT more balanced, it did have a different tone. They asked Mr. Eden, UTM in a better position to know, is there a demand for this type of mockumentary? A fan page for Prince William and Kate, Cambridge's Dearly, then replied, it was H&M's, Harry and Meghan TMS, jealousy of Prince William and Catherine that couldn't allow them to move next door to them, and Kensington Palace because at KPW&C are number one and set the rules there. However, other Twitter users criticized Mr. Eden TMS statements, citing his own reports that Frogmore was still inhabited by the Duke of Gloucester and his wife Birgitta, at conflicting points. The two-part documentary, The Princes and the Press, delves into Princes Harry and William TM's relationships with the media in the UK. Hosted by Amol Rajan, the BBC said the documentary was about how royal journalism is done and features a range of journalists from broadcast and the newspaper industry. The first part angered numerous royal households which, in a rare move, issued a joint statement last week collectively from Buckingham Palace, Clarence House, and Kensington Palace. It read, a free, responsible and open press is of vital importance to a healthy democracy. However, too often overblown and unfounded claims from unnamed sources are presented as facts, and it is disappointing when anyone, including the BBC, gives them credibility. Defending the documentary after this statement, BBC Chair, Richard Sharp, said the BBC is a national institution, and we approach our relationships with the other national institutions with great care and thought. The royal family is at the center of our identity, its underlying importance is unequivocal. He added the BBC had tremendous respect for all aspects of the royal family. Prince Harry, 37, and Meghan, 40, undertook renovations on Frogmore Cottage which racked up a cost of £2.4 million. A spokesperson for the Duke and Duchess said, a contribution has been made to the sovereign grant by the Duke of Sussex. This contribution, as originally offered by Prince Harry, has fully covered the necessary renovation costs of Frogmore Cottage, a property of Her Majesty the Queen, and will remain the UK residence of the Duke and his family. Express.co.uk has contacted the BBC for comment.